Welcome everyone, and thank you for being on time. We'll get started in a few minutes.
Hello everyone.
Hi Erin.
Hi there everyone.
Hi Erin.
Great to see some familiar names from our Slack. Where's everyone joining us from today? Toronto?
I'm joining from Oslo. Yeah.
Ooh, it's 5 p.m. for you?
Yeah, that's right.
I see some Hong Kong friends here. Hello, Mickey. So great that you could join. It's 11 p.m. in Hong Kong.
Good morning to the Bay Area. It's breakfast time. Nashville, hi Jennifer. Fellow New Yorker, hi Piper.
Hi, Piper.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful, thank you. I'm seeing some head bops, which is like really awesome. Every meeting should have some head bopping.
Cool. For those who are just joining us, where are you calling in from? Oh, and also I always love to hear if this is people.
I'm joining from Singapore.
Oh, cool. What time is it for you?
It's 11 p.m.
Wow.
So it's bedtime after.
Absolutely.
Cool. We're spanning the globe here. I love it. Ooh, walking outside. I love it. Why not go for a walk during a Zoom call?
Yeah.
Rotterdam. Nice. All right. So we kick this off. All right. Now I'll switch mode here. All right, welcome everyone. Michelle and I are so excited to see you for a new edition of Catalyze. If you're not familiar with Catalyze, Catalyze is Women in Climate's virtual format for our members from around the world to come together, hear about the climate work other members in our community are doing, and also do some networking. And speaking of networking, we'd love for y'all to connect. So feel free to share contact information in the Slack, and either in our Slack channel. Of course, you can ideally, hopefully, you're all on our Slack already, and you can connect there. But also feel free to share your contact information in the Zoom chat, and later during the networking, do not forget to exchange contact information if you would like to stay in touch. So this is very much an opportunity for you to network and meet other people from around the world. We span the whole globe, as we just saw. That's very exciting. All right, let's dive right in. This is our agenda for today. Quick intro, just a quick overview of what Women in Climate is. Then we'll hear from two of our amazing Women in Climate members, Maia and Erin. We'll do some networking before we wrap up. All right, a few words about Women in Climate. What is Women in Climate? We've been around for, I think, exactly 1.5 years. Time flies. And Women in Climate is a nonprofit that aims to create a joyful and safe space for members to learn and talk about climate. Actually, I'd love to hear in the chat whose first encounter this is with Women in Climate. Is this anyone's first Catalyze, or do we have any repeat visitors here? Hopefully, I'm already seeing some familiar faces, which is always great. Our community has been growing a lot. So awesome, cool. Some first timers. Welcome. That's exciting. Awesome. So a few more words about Women in Climate. We aim to be an inclusive, welcoming space. So at Women in Climate, you don't have to be in climate to be a member. We have many members who are actually not working in climate, but are interested in learning more, maybe are looking into transitioning into the climate space one day, or are interested in volunteering or starting a side project in climate. And that's pretty much my story, actually. So I met Michelle through my former job where I was building community for founders. And once I met Michelle, I decided I wanted to help her build and grow the Women in Climate community, which is what I'm still doing 1.5 years later in my free time. And so yeah, the first dinner, Michelle hosted the first dinner in New York back in February 2022. We've held more than 60 events so far globally. We have 56 city leads now that cover 20 plus cities around the world. You can see an overview of who the city leads are and which cities we cover on the Women in Climate website. And it's pretty impressive to see it grow, I have to say, and so grateful for people joining us all over the world in our effort. And we've also held events at big conferences such as South by Southwest, COP27. I know Michelle is right now cooking something up for COP28. And we'll also be having another big event at Climate Week this year. So you can learn more about that on our website. All right. Yes, as I already said, we're aiming to create a joyful and safe space that's both online and offline. So we're doing a lot of in-person events, a lot of in-person activations, both Women in Climate events only, but also in association with big conferences. And we also, of course, have our offline community. Our goal is to help more women get started on their personal and professional climate journey. As I already said, you don't have to be in climate yet, but we hope to inspire people to take action one way or another. We're also passionate about giving women climate leaders, entrepreneurs, and enthusiasts a platform to share their solutions and ideas. So one of my favorite projects that we recently launched, all led by volunteers, is our speaker database. And hand it over to Michelle, who's going to share a little more about all the amazing events we've been doing over the past 1.5 years.
Amazing. Thank you, Stephanie, for kicking us off. And so nice to see just a global representation on the call today with folks from Singapore and Hong Kong. It's 11 p.m. at night for them, but here they are joining us on this call. Just really, really great to see. I think one of the first photo there on the top left is our first ever Women in Climate dinner. I booked a table for 12 people at a vegan restaurant in New York. I put it on Eventbrite, and 11 people showed up, and then a 12th person who didn't sign up but just wanted, because we were sold out and just wanted to try their luck, came in, and luckily someone couldn't make it and was able to join us for dinner. And that's how we do things. That's how we start. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be perfect. We just need to do it, and we need to take action. And I think that's what the Women in Climate community is all about. Next slide, please, Stephanie. In addition to all the different dinners that we've done, I wanted to share a really special experience that I had this year in Singapore, where I spoke about women in climate on a panel on empowering women in sustainability with Shuba from MasterCard and Esther from the UN Global Compact in Singapore. It was such a wonderful experience. The three of us, we were in the green room with the speakers, and there was like hair and makeup there. None of us really actually did it because we were really busy talking and chatting with each other, but they were so nice and everyone was just really supportive. And by the time we got on the stage. We were just like friends having coffee and kind of like just having a chit chat as opposed to being at a global conference and on the global stage. But we've really grown a lot from this grassroots dinner to being with Bloomberg. Next slide, please, Stephanie. As Stephanie mentioned, Speaker Database is one of our sort of marquee volunteer-driven tools and programs. And the Speaker Database started because when I went to COP27 last year, let's just say that I saw a huge opportunity for more women to speak. And I, came back from COP and was kind of humming and hawing, like, should I do this? Should I not? Like, are people actually going to create a profile? But at the end of the day, I thought, it doesn't hurt to do it. And the worst thing is that no one signs up. And so I pulled together Lauren Van Oss and Sheila from New York to help me launch this. And there are almost 500 speakers in the database today. I have officially applied for COP28 programming in the Green Zone, have been speaking with the presidency and the programming team to get our speakers at the event and to get more women engaged at COP28. So more to come, more to follow. If you have not subscribed to our newsletter yet, please be sure to do so. That's where we share all of our events. And next slide, Stephanie. If you are in a position to support Women in Climate, this is an entirely volunteer-driven organization. No one gets paid a salary. I know it doesn't seem that way because we do so much, but if you have some resources where you can share with us to either buy us a coffee on a monthly basis or do a one-time donation, we are a 501c3 charity based in New York. And any donation over $30, you will get a Women in Climate pin, which has become a little bit of a staple. I wore it on the stage at Bloomberg as well. And pickup of the pin is at Mason Jar in Brooklyn. So we don't do any mailing, but if you have a friend that lives in New York or Brooklyn, they can go pick it up and get it over to you. Or if you're going to be at Climate Week, you can go and pick it up yourself. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Never gets boring at Women in Climate. I can't wait to see COP have more diverse voices. All right, now we're excited to hear from our first speaker. I'm really happy to have you here, Maia. I've personally had the pleasure of the magic of the work you do a few times already. I already signed up for the next one. I'll pass it over to you, Maia. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle and Stephanie, for having me. And so wonderful to be here with all of you. So I am Maia Kiley, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist and certified ecotherapist. And I'm going to go into what that means, but it's basically like nature-based therapy. So yeah, you can do the next slide. Thank you. So I'm a psychotherapist, also a member of the Climate Psychology Alliance, which is a group of concerned mental health practitioners who are addressing the psychological impacts of climate change. And we're doing that through climate aware therapy, which I'll go into what that is also, climate cafes and other events, but basically trying to promote this cultural shift toward human resilience, regeneration, and equity. And then I'm also a certified ecotherapist. So I went to Pacifica Graduate Institute in California, and I got my ecotherapy certificate there with a woman named Linda Buzzle, who's really been part of the sort of first therapists to create this niche of nature-based therapy and like certify people and have it really sort of create that awareness in the field of psychology. So yeah, you can do the next slide. So my climate work involves this climate aware therapy, and that's not all of my practice. I work with anxiety, depression, eating disorders is one of my specialties, but climate aware therapy is like one of my niches. And basically what climate aware therapy is, because it's very new, is it's providing a space to understand, so clients can come in just like a regular therapy session, but have a space where they're able to understand and cope with climate distress that they may be feeling. So they have this opportunity to work with someone who's professionally trained and understands the impacts of the crisis and the personal impacts of climate change on our lives, on our psyches, and how the loss of nature affects us and can disrupt our daily functioning. So climate distress is basically the way we feel and are impacted by the climate and ecological crisis. And for a lot of people, this is looking like anxiety, panic, fear, grief, anger, despair, helplessness, hopelessness. And there's even this term now of pre-traumatic stress syndrome. So this trauma of what we're concerned is going to happen and preparing for that. So that's a portion of my work, is doing climate aware therapy, and so I'm having people specifically come to me for that through the Climate Psychology Alliance database. And then I'm also doing ecotherapy, which I'm either weaving into sessions that I have with people or doing these focused groups here in New York City, like in just the local park. So ecotherapy, I'm just going to define it for anyone who's not familiar, is like this nature-based approach to mental health. And it's really an umbrella term that includes wilderness therapy, forest bathing, equine therapy with horses. So ecotherapy is basically an umbrella term for many different types of nature-based therapy. But it's really about being in nature with the intention of healing, of growth. And I think of it as traditionally in therapy, you're really taught to source from yourself, or to, develop these resources for coping from yourself or other people. But I like to think of it with ecotherapy as you're expanding to have nature as a source for healing as well. So it's these applied nature-based practices, or where you're really engaging with nature as reciprocal, and having a non-extractive relationship with nature, one where you're giving back and you're receiving. And the last piece that my climate work involves is community building. So it's so important to me that we really, basically just the power of healing in groups as well as in individual sessions. So I really like to be available to the community and offer things that bring people together and allow people to share and talk about these, climate feelings and all of that. And so I do that through, and Stephanie's been there, a monthly full moon circle. So it's on the full moon. It's in Brooklyn, New York, either outside or in my little home office. And so I'm really trying to support people in breaking this isolation and individualism, and even the literal grid of New York City, by forming a circle and being collaborative with others, and just valuing community and the diversity of community of all ages. And and then also in terms of community building, I offer workshops that build community as well. So next slide, please. Oh, so let's see. So I'm doing all this work because I feel it's so important that we address the mental health effects of climate change, because this is basically allows us to be in a place of responsiveness to the crisis we're in. And if we're really hopeless or depressed by it or angry, it's hard to take clear action and to have the energy to even connect with others. So that's very important. So it's really about building, this work is really important because it's about building this resilience to act and to feel supported in how you want to both act, but also how you want to show up and just be on the planet right now. And yeah, I think it's so important to break out of this extractive model that we live in, this patriarchal sort of extractive model that's individualistic, and to break some of those patterns by creating this sort of vision also of the healthier earth that we want to be a part of. So that's something I do in my workshops, is guide people to have a clear vision of what they're working toward and to like feel inspired and supported in that. And really all of this is to move toward a place where we're respecting nature and each other and increasing our care for life. Yeah, next slide, please. So yeah, if I could wave a magic wand, there would be more accessible, like community mental health. Sometimes it's difficult for people to, for various reasons, to do individual sessions. And so I really vision this like this community mental health and support. And of course, I would love really a collective shift, a cultural shift into caring for each other in the earth, and a restorative collective shift. And this would be into this more regenerative way of living that is where there's balance in giving and receiving from nature. And that would include a lot of care for the earth as well as for each other. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so so I do offer individual sessions, and one's focused with ecotherapy or climate aware therapy. And then for those who are in the New York area, monthly full moon circles, ecotherapy groups. And then for those who are all over, I offer workshops and retreats. There's going to be one in Mexico around the intuitive body. So really connecting both to your body and the earth in a through developing your intuition and through having this experience of being in your body and what it means to act from a place of being embodied or really connected in to yourself. So some of my workshops and things are online for those of you who also aren't in New York, and you can find all the info through my website, through the event page, or if you want to sign up for my occasional newsletter, that's where you get things ahead of time. Or I also just have it on my Instagram, the Ecotherapist. So feel free to connect or reach out, or yeah, and yes, we'll shift into if anyone has questions around ecotherapy, climate aware therapy, or anything more specific. I have a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Maya. I love learning more about your work, and I can also kick off the Q&A if we don't have any questions yet. But feel free to either, if you have questions for Maya, either drop them in the chat. Oh, someone's already coming in, or unmute and ask Maya directly. Here's a question from Erin. Do you have any tips for people in daily life to deal with anxiety, Maya? Great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. And
climate anxiety, that is, of course. I'm sure anxiety as well is the same. Climate anxiety and normal anxiety. But.
Yes, understood, Erin. Perfect. Yeah, and actually, during Climate Week, I'm going to be doing a workshop basically called the Regenerative Toolkit, on just offering these tools and for you to create your own personalized toolkit. So of course, this is very personal to you, but just in general, I work with around boundaries with news and social media and balancing that if that's causing specific anxiety. But we also just I'll start by kind of creating a space for people to express their climate feelings and to frame them within the context of the stages of grief also, because we can look at what's happening right now as, you know, the loss of something, this planet that we love and species that we love. And so really starting to put it in that context can help relieve some anxiety, to allow the feelings to be both experienced and then like composted. And then also where I work around like mindset and narrative with anxiety. So what the sort of story is that you're telling around your role in it or how you're feeling in it. And we'll kind of work with that too. But yeah, just like a nice tool that I'll just give you that's like one little thing is just taking kind of the first even like 10 minutes of the day to keep your phone off and just connect in with nature in some way through even like a couple deep breaths. So if it's an option for you to just go outside and stand and feel your feet on the ground before you're looking at your phone or news or anything, to just connect in with that personal connection with nature, like when you're in the state between sleep and waking, is very helpful to set the tone of the day and calm anxiety. Okay, great.
We have some more questions here in the chat for you, Maia. Mickey is asking if you organize online full moon circles. She'd love to join one, but not based in the US.
Yes, thank you. That would be so wonderful to have you. It's important for me to do them in person. But yeah, I've thought about at some point maybe doing some kind of online circle, but yeah, but for right now, the full moon circles are in person. Yeah. Chloe says it's helpful to look at the leaves waving in the wind. That sounds really peaceful. Yeah.
I have a little question, Maia. How did you find out about this? Like, I did not know that ecotherapy was a thing until I met you through Women in Climate about a year ago. And it makes so much sense. Has this always been around, or is this a newer thing?
Yeah, totally. It's so niche. Most people, even therapists, haven't heard about it. It is pretty recent. I don't know exactly when it started, but I want to say like that term came around maybe like in the early 2000s. And I found out about it because I was in grad school and they offered it as a summer program. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? It sounds absolutely perfect, because I had already been thinking about, I'd been in activism before I went to graduate school to be a therapist, and I worked at organic farms and everything. And I was really like, I went to a very progressive graduate school for therapy, but I was still like surprised that there wasn't more discussion around like what was happening in terms of the climate crisis and how that was impacting people's lives and emotional states. And so I had already been like wondering, how do we bring these together, like activism and personal healing? And then I saw this like announcement for ecotherapy in the summer, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And it was great in terms of meeting other therapists who are really on that edge. So it's pretty wild, but it's still like a newer term. Yeah.
That makes sense. Thank you so much for your time, Maia, and for sharing more about your work. Anyone who, if you have the opportunity to work with Maia, come to a full moon circle or book an individual session. Highly recommend. I'm looking forward to my next full moon circle. All right, quick heads up before we move on. After our second speaker, Erin, we will move into breakout rooms for networking. So this just as a quick heads up, so you're not caught off guard when you're invited to join a breakout room and meet other members. All right. Again, thank you, Maia, and welcome, Erin. So excited to hear from you, and thank you for joining us from Norway. Really
Yes.
great to have you here.
Thank you so much. And I just want to say thank you for Women in Climate. I've been to 2 dinners here in Oslo, and they were so helpful, actually, just from learning how people are navigating some of their projects. And so thank you for pulling this together. And everyone will have to excuse the mashup I attempted of our two brands. It's going to be quite an eyeful coming up, but yeah, I'm Erin. I founded the Hive Initiative, which is a nonprofit 4 years ago. And next slide, please. So I can't share this floor alone. I have to share it with my collaborators. We're a group of people also working in our free time. We're all volunteers. We're working around the world on this initiative. So I'm a digital designer and have a day job as that in Norway. Alina is in Switzerland. Donna Shri is in Malaysia. Marlena is in Germany. Muhammadjan is in Uzbekistan. Philip is in Norway, along with Jimmy. Louisa is in the USA. And then we also are advised by a climate scientist also in the USA. So this is who we are in the Hive Initiative. And next slide. So our climate work, it involves educating, inspiring, and empowering employees through trying to level up their knowledge and then leveraging their solutions. So getting everyone on the same page about the climate crisis and then taking and leveraging their solutions. A company or organization can do this. And those are two screenshots that you see on the right there from our one of our main ways we do this, which is the next slide, which is called the Mini Climate Summit. And so this is a workshop that we give to companies down in the right there. This is to a German company, Nord LB, that we did. And basically this workshop aims to get everyone educated, inspired, and empowered to make a solution. I know that we all hear climate news from different places and we're all educated in different ways on it. So some of us have gone in and read the 3,000-page IPCC report, and then others of us are watching the news, and a lot of times the news doesn't have a solution attached to whatever they're telling us. So you kind of stop with this like Maia was saying, this kind of anxiety provoking moment, and really there are a lot of ways that all of us can not only influence where we're working, but change a lot of these habits. That some of them are low-hanging fruits, some of them are big structural things that need to happen. But the fact is that we need this big push to get everyone starting to do that. So this Mini Climate Summit is really aimed to not only give permission to employees, but to activate them, get them understanding of the whole scope of the crisis, and then also giving solutions and being heard by where they work. And the great thing is that once a company has their employees doing this, then it's really easy to make changes that would otherwise be kind of hard. Like, say, for instance, if a leader came in and said, everyone is going to eat vegan now, you would have quite a lot of pushback probably, or people would worry if people would quit. But if the group comes up with this idea together, then it's much more likely that it will be implemented, and there will be a discussion on it, and there can be an action team that's created from it. So the Mini Climate Summit is our project that we've put together to kind of make this easier for employees to feel empowered at work. So that's one way that we're working together. And then the second, which is the next slide, is doing research projects. So to inform what we recommend in the Mini Climate Summit, and to just really understand the scope of the crisis, we do research projects which end up as videos. So a couple of us have video making skills. And so we pull these videos together and we put them on our YouTube channel. And this just allows a permanent footprint that we can draw from as well when we're giving our Mini Climate Summit and when we're doing other types of presentations. Next slide. So obviously this is important because obviously businesses are a main contributor to the climate crisis. There is a huge opportunity in businesses to kind of get them in a state that makes them more long-term viable. And So this is actually something very helpful for the business's bottom line as well, especially if they're a polluter or if they have challenges in that area. The second is that obviously, as we've established, with all of us are probably here because we have climate anxiety and we want to work on a solution. And that was why I started the Hive initiative in the first place, because I was like, I need to do something. What can I do with my skills? What can I make? What can I do? And really, it's so important to, in addressing anxiety, to be able to actually come up with a solution, or often work on something. And then the third reason is that as a society, we need stronger action by our governments. And the way to do this is to influence each other and to lift each other and demand really that we need much, much stronger regulations and action by our governments. So to kind of get everybody feeling and getting inspired to do this work that needs to be done to get all of us on the same page, and therefore more effective governments. Next slide. So if I could wave a magic wand, I would have governments, companies, and us individuals, we would actually embrace the changes that need to be made. Through our research, we see that it's going to be awesome. Like the world where we implement these changes will not be this world where there's such struggle, or there's so much, seeking wealth, or companies like constantly looking like, how can we make more money? Or governments wondering why half the people aren't believing in them and worried about making any, future proof solution, because it will all be very natural and everyone will be doing so much better. So while we will obviously still have climate change to deal with, we'll have a world that is so much better functioning that I'm like, let's do it. If it takes, me doing a couple things here and company doing several things here that, maybe might affect their bottom line now, but then the governments come in and, we all start working together, I think humanity really will do a good job of making a habitable Earth that's in line with nature. And I am an optimist, by the way. So I think I'm an optimist with climate anxiety. And so then you kind of swerve from these thoughts of, oh no, what can we do, to, oh, we can do this. We can definitely do this. So yeah, that's my magic wand. And next slide. Okay, and then the other thing with kind of going in through employees and utilizing, like empowering and encouraging employees, is that it not only creates a hopeful, conscious society in our offices, which we all want that. We want people to be informed. We want people to be, doing the right thing. But then this also helps make this culture shift that we need to have happen spread easier. And then, of course, enable our governments to take stronger action. So this is kind of a good opportunity for everyone of different skills, different backgrounds, different politics, even probably, to come together and agree on a solution that might make it really much easier for everyone to adopt these ideas. Next slide. So I don't know if any of you have read this book, Earth for All, but it came out this year. And Earth for All is a collaboration between the Club of Rome, the Potsdam Institute for Climate Research, the Stockholm Resilience Center, and the Norwegian Business School. And so they wrote a book that outlines what needs to happen from a high-level government perspective. What can we do to make Earth for all, basically, and make Earth habitable for everybody far into the future. And this is a quote from that I really love, because I think this really comes to the heart of why we're all working on this. But the foundations of a vibrant economy are not money, nor energy, nor trade. They're optimistic people with hope for a better future and the tools to create this future. So if you haven't read this book, I really felt after reading it that we can do this, and we need to get governments working on this. And the solutions that they outlined in it, I really do feel would help with that. So next slide. So also I'd like you to know, so if you are interested in a mini climate summit at your office, there's a little QR code you can, I think it works to take a picture on here. I'm happy to talk about it. You see my email down here. So I'm always happy to meet new people, meet new collaborators. We are open for impact investment because some of us want to work longer and on it aside from at the end of the day or on the weekends. So if you have any tips on that, or if you've done it yourself and you have, you want to tell more about that, I would love to know like your path on that. Or if you know somebody who's looking to invest in such a thing. And then we are collaborating with Earth for All, which is one of the reasons why I know so much about that. We're starting a video series on LinkedIn. So starting September, we're going to show videos that show their solutions and then how that relates to an individual at work. So that starts this September. And that's it. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me here.
Thank you so much, Erin. Thank you. That was really, really interesting to learn about. And you're doing all this in your free time in addition to a day job?
I think I can relate when you're saying, it's challenging. It's definitely challenging. Yeah. But good. Yeah.
We already have some questions coming in here in the chat, but also feel free to raise your hand and unmute if you want to talk to Erin directly. But here's a first question from Yaris. I hope I'm pronouncing names correctly. Sorry if I'm not. Have you faced any pushbacks from companies when you offer the summit?
I think it's very important to have the company be the instigator of the mini climate summit. And I think that's the whole reason why it's really hard as an individual to maybe push this forth without like leadership being involved. So I've only seen good things because it really does empower like a sustainability expert or leadership to kind of get more people involved in working on this. I think it is a misconception that companies don't want to work on climate change in their own impact. I think it's a misconception. I actually think people just don't know how to like implement that with their current structures and current things that they've been focusing on. So I haven't yet seen it, but I think by doing it in a positive way and framing it as like saving money or, other benefits that come from wasting less and, being more climate friendly, that's one way that can, if it does arise, like if you were to want a mini climate summit and pitch it to your leaders, and then they're like, that might be one way to get around that. Yeah.
Sounds like a smart approach, Erin. We have another question here from Michelle. How long are the summits typically, and do companies pick what topics they want, or do you curate the topics?
Yeah, so they're between 60 and 90 minutes, but we tailor it for whoever needs it. For the NordLB that you saw, we actually did 3 separate sessions. And so we broke it into first a mini climate summit in their in their Germany office, and then in London and Singapore together. And this was actually a way that everyone was able to collaborate across their different offices. And then we did a third one that was about resource depletion. So how the bank can, can both take what they know now and apply that to their investments and other things like that. So that was, yeah.
Cool. Thank you for sharing, Erin. Do we have any? Wow, we do have another question here from Chloe. As someone who used to campaign for a food waste program at my old job, what kind of feedback have you gotten from employees?
Yeah. So I definitely think, so what happens is, and I actually started, we have the blue team at my office. I work for an ocean nonprofit, and it's bad if the ocean is green. So it's the blue team. And so we find the same thing. So we took a mini climate summit, we had it, and then we were able to kind of form the blue team after, and then we would recommend solutions. So for instance, like we had a receipt machine that was putting receipts into the garbage, like in our lunchroom. And it's like a small thing, but it matters because someone sees it every day. It's like, it shows that it's okay to like just waste paper into the garbage with no use, you know. So and we fixed that. I mean, it was just like we're like, oh, I'm going to talk to the manager of that, and then it was fixed. And so it's very empowering to kind of have a group together. So we recommend having first the Mini Climate Summit and then having an action team in addition. And we have some little tools we've made that can help people have some structure with their meetings and stuff. We just do it once a month, and it's very casual and kind of fun. And yeah, employees, I mean, our green team, which is the blue team, has grown. It like half the company is in it now. So it's kind of funny. I think we all want to work on this. Like we all want to find our way to do this. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I love how global you are and the team is that you built, Erin. Thank you so much for sharing. Do we have any final questions for Erin? No final questions for Erin. Thank you so much to both our speakers, Erin and Maia. And also, on the note of thank yous, big shout out to our volunteer, Sarah Jacobson, who's helping us massively behind the scenes in putting on Catalyze. She's basically running all the logistics. So big shout out to Sarah. Thank you so much for your help in making this happen. All right, let's move on to the networking portion. Is everyone ready for some breakout rooms and to meet some other? Nope, we're not done yet. We're about to go in breakout rooms. And I think, what are we going to do? How about some groups of 3 to 4? Breakout rooms, someone's asking how long they are. I think we're going to be in breakout rooms for about 10 minutes and end shortly before the full hour, if that sounds good to everyone. And there should be a lot to talk about,